Hey, it's Will Hill and Patrick Adam Lawson, County 10 and Wind River Internet for another edition of Tech Tips. We've also got Terry in the wings over here. Say hi, Terry.
Hi, Terry.
You can't see her, but she's here. And she is ready for your questions and your comments in the feed. Make sure that you ask us about what's going on with Wind River Internet, ask us about our topic today, ask us to do a new edition of Tech Tips with your questions being answered. Whatever it is, leave us a comment, leave us a question. You can tell us how great Patrick Adams' hair is.
It's different every week.
Different every time we do this. So make sure you leave us some engagement down at the bottom. And today we're talking about one of my favorite topics. Anyone who will listen, I will tell and talk for hours. And what we're talking about is productivity apps. So, here's the premise. The problem is that we're all super busy, right? If you have a calendar that you try and maintain, generally it's fairly clumsy. I know people that have the agendas with the calendar and the little sections to put in tasks and put in all this stuff, but then they forget it at home, and then their day is completely ruined, or they've got to go home and get it. You go on a conference and you need to write something down or remember a date in the future, but you don't have it with you. Calendars can be clumsy, they can be full. Paper notebooks get lost. I used to use paper notebooks all the time.
Sticky
notes and paper notebooks, and I would have about 6 different notebooks because I would start writing in one, and then I wouldn't be there, and I'd go grab another one, and then inevitably I couldn't find the one that had the note from the meeting that I needed. It drove me nuts. Follow-up is also a really tough thing. That sucks a lot of time out of our day. You say to somebody, hey, this is on you, make sure that you get this done, or hey, can you do this for me? And then you remember 6 weeks later, did we do that? And you find out, no, you didn't do that because the other person needs a productivity app too. And resources, this is a really big one. You're working on a project, or you're working on a task at work, or you've got a meeting coming up, and there are resources that you need for that, attachments or websites that you want to keep track of.
Conference room for the video for the day.
Yeah, exactly. all the information. Hey, that's hysterical because we're at the County 10 offices today in our conference room because Patrick Adam forgot to schedule it at Wind River Internet's offices, and there's somebody else in those offices. Sounds like you need a productivity app.
Yeah.
So that's the problem. I know that most of you out there feel me because this is an issue that all of us deal with at one level or another, and so the solution to this problem is productivity apps. You can find them for anything. You can find them if you, intermittent fasting is all the rage right now. If you want to set it and forget it and improve your productivity with intermittent fasting, you can find an app that just tells you how long you haven't eaten for.
Unless you're myself that.
Yeah, right. Unless you're like me, and then okay, it's been 15 minutes. So you can find an app for anything. But the thing with productivity apps is that they should save you time. They should save you time, they should save you headache, they should save you energy, they should help life, not make it worse. So I have a tendency to over-software-tize. I just made a new word, you heard it here first. I have a tendency to over-software-tize my life, and then I have to pare things back. But productivity apps should add value to your life and make life easier. One of the big ones is that when we talk about productivity apps, like calendars and note-taking apps and task management, those types of things, messaging apps and the integrations that go with them. When we're talking about that, one of the big values is that everything's in the cloud.
Yeah, that makes a huge difference. So if you're at your desktop working on something, you can use that same app from when you're out, checking on your phone, or if you got a laptop, or you don't have to keep that same physical notebook from this place to the next, and it's all synchronized. And then a lot of these are, group, so you can have your whole entire office on the same page on that same productivity app. and it's really cool.
Yeah, saves a lot of time. So we're going to get into some of the specifics on what I call the big three. We'll also talk about a couple that kind of tie everything together. So the big three of productivity apps are calendars, task management software, and note-taking apps. Those are the ones that if you have one and you use it effectively, it's going to save you a lot of time. If you use all three effectively, which I have managed to do, everybody has three different favorites, but if you use them effectively, I can't even, maybe 30-40% increase my productivity. I don't lose stuff anymore. I don't forget items that I need to do, which saves everybody a lot of time and headaches. So we're going to talk about those: calendars, task management, and note-taking apps. So calendars, the big thing with digital calendars, I mean, everybody uses them to some extent. If you've got Outlook, you might use the Outlook calendar. If you're a Google user, you might use Google Calendar. If you use Apple devices, you might have the Apple Calendar. Whatever it is, those are the big ones. But they are easy to share, easy to invite people to, and easy to follow other calendars. So if you have trouble with,
and most of them have interchangeable invitations. What is the ICS format? Mm-hmm. So if somebody sends it to you and you hit accept, it'll remind you whenever that event comes back up.
Right. That stay at a hotel, or that conference that's coming up, or your Zoom meeting, or whatever it is, now all of these things talk to each other. And so if you have a calendar app, all of that other stuff, especially if you're a Google user, if it just pops into your Gmail, Gmail says, oh, there's an appointment, and it puts it on your calendar for you, and you can adjust it from there. So saves you a lot of time and checking, make sure, oh, that meeting that I had set up, I gotta go put it on the calendar, right? So it syncs to everything. And it's not just those big ones either. There are other really good ones, like calendar.com. is a free one that is like for scheduling external appointments. So
it looked like the big focus on that one is that you can do like group invites and have people pick times and things a little bit easier instead of sending emails back and forth to each other.
Yeah.
Like, can you do this time now? Can you do this time now?
How miserable is that, right? Like scheduling tech tips. Which Tuesday can you do it? Which Tuesday can you do it? No, I can't do it on Tuesday at 2 on that day, but we've got to have the alliteration, so it has to be Tuesday at 2. So calendar.com is one of those that you can send a link and everybody can say, I can do it at this time, this time, this time, and then the organizer can select the time that is the right time and send it out to everybody when everybody's free. Calendly is another free app. I've seen a lot of people starting to use this. So you connect it to your calendar, and it populates your free time or not free time. You can tell it, I want appointments. I will accept appointments from this time to this time on these days. Then you can just send a link. You can even put it in your email signature, and people can schedule an appointment with you right from that link, and then it populates on your regular calendar. And so no more going back and forth. People can just request that time slot, making it much easier to set appointments and Zoom meetings, and they can even put a little blurb about what they want to meet with you about. Makes it really slick. I think I schedule one of these a day with vendors and people.
Another app that I've been getting a lot of is this Doodle, and it's the same.
Doodle.
It's the same thing. People will be like, fill out the Doodle pool on when your availability is.
Yeah. I love their tagline is, it shouldn't take 30 emails to schedule a 30-minute meeting. That is very true. And it happens all the time, right? So the other thing with calendars is that you can also use them with your digital assistant, which is pretty cool. So whether you use Siri or whether you have an Android, and so you're saying, okay, Google all the time, I guarantee I just set off somebody's phone in here. And whatever assistant you're using, whether you use the Alexa at home or whatever it is, you can tell it to schedule you an appointment, and boom, it's right there. So if you're on the phone in the car, you can just voice freeze, set the appointment, and then you don't forget it. So calendar apps, those are another one. Oh, I forgot about this one. So there are a million of them. You can get a gazillion different calendar apps, but one of the really cool ones is Fantastical. which is a pretty fantastical name. And the cool thing with that is just that it's a really pared down, great design. It's, Google is plugged into everything, Apple's plugged into everything, Outlook is plugged into everything, but Fantastical is really pared down for mobile use and syncing across devices. It's really easy to work together with it, that kind of thing. So, calendar apps saves a lot of time. The next one we want to talk about is task management. So you might write stuff down on a list. You might use like Google Tasks or something. If you use Gmail, it'll pop up in the sidebar. That can be really effective if it's just you using your task list. Outlook will sync to other people's. Google will do the same thing. You can invite people to follow your task or those types of things. But then when it really is effective for task management is when you're involving a team or a group or a club and you need to get stuff done, but in a timely manner, and you're not all in the same place doing it. So some of the ones that we like, Monday.com is a big one lately. Really nice interface, really easy to use, all in the cloud. You use Podio, right?
Yeah, we use Podio, which is kind of like a build your own app type of thing. So you kind of customize it and put in your own fields, and you can do tasks and assign them to people and things. So it's a little bit more, I don't know, make your own type of thing, but it's neat because it integrates with other stuff. But we'll get to that in the automation part.
We're going to talk about integration, lots of integration. So the one that we use and the one that I recommend because it's super easy setup for a team is Asana, Asana. Super easy. So you can even use it as like a Rolodex. But Asana, just to give you an idea on how these task management programs work, if you're using them for teams to help save time across your organization, Asana is project-based. And so you have a project for this client and that client, or you have a project for plan the annual fundraiser, or you have a project for designing the website, or whatever it is. You have a project, and then in the project you have tasks. And then if you have lots of projects, you can organize them into portfolios so that you can keep everything organized. You can assign every task, you can assign to a different person. Every task can have subtasks that can be done by different people. So if you're trying to design a website or plan a fundraiser or plan an event or anything that an organization does on a regular basis, you can have all these everything assigned to different people. You can set recurring tasks that happen across the organization at every time something gets finished, it schedules itself again. You can make comments, leave comments, set due dates. You can have different views of all of your tasks so that you can review in a meeting, okay, we've got this due at this date and this due at that date, and it'll break it into who is responsible for what and color coded, and all of this is way easier than it sounds like. I'm describing it terribly, but our team at County 10 has used this now for several years, and in the last couple of years we even upgraded to a paid plan to use all the features. It is a lifesaver in terms of keeping work moving and who's responsible for what. You can gather all of your assets for a task, websites, information, pictures, anything and everything you want in Asana, right in the task, so that people have access to those files. No more, do you have that? Can you share that with me? Can you send that to me in an email? It's all right there in Asana, and the whole team can utilize it. So very cool as far as task management. Another one of the big three to keep you organized along with calendars. Did I miss anything on task management? Cool.
I don't think so.
I'm a productivity evangelist. So he's over here going, I haven't even heard of all these things. So then the other one, the one that is probably the flexible one of the big three in productivity apps are note-taking apps. People like paper, and there are a lot of different ways to take notes. There are now tablets that function like paper. Those are pretty cool, and they're very they sync with everything. They're very diverse. You can use. I think there's one The one that I've seen a lot of is called the Remarkable, and I think they're on version 2 now, so the Remarkable 2, and it feels just like paper. It's even got a little bit of texture to it, so as you write with the stylus, it's very, very thin, and you can write, it feels just like you're writing with paper. I've never used one, but I know people that have, professors that have.
Like an e-ink.
Yeah, they call it e-ink. It's pretty slick. But if you don't want to buy a whole new tablet just so that you can take notes, there are lots of them. The most common one that I've seen is Keep, which is a Google note-taking app. If you use Keep, all of your notes sync with Gmail, sync with your Google Calendar, sync with, what else did we talk about? Sync with Google Tasks.
Keep's free.
Yeah, no, totally free. And so that's nice. It's free and it syncs with all of your stuff if you're already using Google. Apple has one. There are a lot of different note-taking apps out there. The one that I like, that I use constantly and seriously would be completely lost without, and several people in our organization use it now too, because all I did was talk about it all the time, is called Evernote. So Evernote is multi-platform. You can take notes on your laptop, you can take notes on your phone, you can take notes on a tablet, and it syncs across all devices. You organize it by notebooks. So instead of 5 notebooks that have notes from 300 different meetings in them, you have a notebook for every different topic. Or you can even divide it just by office and home and whatever, by client, whatever works for you. And in each notebook, you have individual notes. It could just be a thought that you need to gather. It could be a phone number. Every note allows you to do anything and everything. You can bold stuff, create bulleted lists, numbered lists, tables. You can add photos directly to the note. So if you're an artist and you're creating notes to organize your thoughts for a new project, you can snap a photo of something and drop a few notes in there about it, a little bit of text, and keep it all in one note, keep it organized. There's a web clipper that comes with it, so you can clip stuff, websites from the internet, and put them in a notebook. So if you're planning a vacation or you're working on a project, research for a project for work, you can put everything into a notebook and save all this stuff as notes. It also has apps that come with it. So when you're scanning things for a project or just to scan things, it has an app by Evernote called Scannable, which is the best scanner app I've ever seen. And if you're sitting there and you want to take a scan of a document to save in your notebook for a project, you use Scannable. Grab a quick scan of it, and you just click Save to Evernote. It asks you which notebook you want it in, and boom, it's gone. And then you're not losing paper. You can scan your receipts. You can scan all kinds of different things. And then the other one that works with it, so Evernote is the app. Scannable is an app that works with it. And then Penultimate is an app it's an Evernote app, but it's for taking notes on an iPad. It's ridiculous how beautiful the handwriting is. If you press harder, it goes bold. It's pretty slick. And then when you're done, it saves it right into Evernote for you. So you can tell I geek out about this. This is how I organize my life.
I like the logo of Evernote because it's like an elephant, and an elephant never forgets.
Never forgets. The coolest thing, so you might think I would lose stuff in that kind of a process. There's notebooks and notes, and I saved stuff in a picture, and I wrote stuff down in a different app. It searches everything. So if you wrote down something about a project and you search the name of that project, it's going to search and find all the text with that keyword as well as your handwritten notes with that keyword. And so once it's in Evernote, it never forgets, which is where the elephant comes from. So no Evernote, nor Google, nor Asana are paying us for today's building. But we
are open to it.
Yeah, I love it. It saved my life. I used to lose everything, and now I don't lose anything. So tying it all together. So let's say you use these apps, but you need to communicate with a team about it. You can communicate in the apps, or you can use like a messaging app to tie it all together. So, Microsoft Teams is a big one. You just switched over to Slack, and we use Slack in our office.
We've been using Slack because it integrates well with some of the other vendors that we use. So.
Yeah. Slack is great because you can use it as a messaging app on your phone, on your tablet, on your computer for work or whatever. I actually have a family version. I have a big family group that all of our extended cousins and aunts are on a Slack group. And there are lots of places around here. There are organizations in Fremont County that use Slack groups to stay connected. And Slack will allow you to integrate everything. So you can have Asana tasks and projects. You can notify Asana. Slack will notify you about things that are happening in Asana. Your calendar can sync to Slack so that Slack is telling you when appointments have been made. You can make appointments right from Slack. So it ties everything together and allows you to talk about it with people. You can do video conferencing directly from Slack. You can anything and everything. Slack hasn't paid us for this either. So I kind of wish they would, so if they're watching. But then the thing that really then ties things together on the next level in terms of productivity is if you're using these things, you're gonna find these little moments where you're like, I wish that it did this. When I saved a new appointment in my calendar, I wish that it would, I don't know what, do this.
Send a message to the Slack group.
Yes, exactly. That's a great one. And so that's automation, which is the next level of productivity. But there are organizations that make it really easy. So Zapier is one that we use. You use, what's the name of the one you use?
Podio.
Podio. And then
Automate IO is what we use. So if we have let's say a tower falls over or something, it'll send out a notification to our support email, which will create this Automate IO will create a work order inside Podio for the technicians and message them on Slack. So it all happens automatically because of this Automate IO, and it's like drag and drop too. So you just go in there and you pick which apps you use and tell them what this does this and that does that, and it's all drag and drop. It's super easy, and most of them are free to a certain extent. Mm-hmm. Like you can do X amount so many times per month, and then you get a pay.
Yeah. Zapier is similar, except that Zapier has a lot of, it can make things, you can do lots of customization, endless customization, and filtering of tasks and, like if this condition meets this condition, then send this type of thing. It's endless. But it ties together 30,000 plus different common apps used across all devices and allows you to go in and say, I want this app, and then it shows you a list of things that it can do. I want it to do this, which will trigger, and you can select other apps and say, I want it to do this, and you can build it all similar to drag and drop, but all these different automations that just make life easier. For us, when a client says, I want to do this, we put that into the system and it triggers invoicing and it triggers our client services people to reach out. It triggers all these different things to happen, all from somebody saying a client wants us something. So that it makes it really easy, but that's kind of next level.
Yeah, it saves a lot of time. I mean,
really
a lot of repetitive tasks that you have to do between multiple apps can be done for you.
Yeah, and these are not. We make them sound hard because we're kind of excited about them, but
what do they call that? Swivel chair when you're doing double entry.
Yeah.
So basically, you have two different systems, and you have somebody copying something from one system to another system. This takes that out of the equation. It'll do it for you.
Yeah. So and really, this stuff is very, very simple to set up. It may sound complicated if you're not used to productivity apps, but most of this stuff really is download and go. It is not hard. Most of them are on Android, they're on Apple devices, on iOS, they're on anything you want, any device you have, on any laptop you use. You're going to be able to get these things and tie them all together very, very easily. So that's what I wanted to talk about, productivity apps. I need to stop myself there because I get excited. I really do. It saved me a lot of time, and it's contagious because now several people in our office use Evernote. The whole office is tied together with Asana. We use Slack. It's endless.
I think I was doing that a few years back, where I was like, every little thing that popped up, I was like, oh, we got to try this, and I think my team got annoyed with me. And so, and so we kind of had to scale back a little bit. It's like, I'll just try these things on my own first for a while before we try and get everybody else to use them. And now I'm all excited again. It's like, ooh, we gotta try this now.
So cool. Do we have any questions?
We don't.
No, we just explained it so well, or we put you to sleep.
I put a
one or the
lot
other.
of stuff in the comments,
Nice.
so they can find it all.
We answered all the questions. Cool.
I just
Well,
knew.
what kind of updates do you have with Wonderbrewer Internet?
Well, hopefully the weather's getting good. I don't know. It was snowing again this morning, wasn't it?
It was.
But we're going to be lighting up E area really soon with fiber. I know, I think I've said it the last couple of months, but I mean it this time. We did a big cutover, and we've got a new communication shelter out there, which is going to enable the E village areas fiber optic to the home. So we're just waiting on just a couple little pieces, and maybe in the next 2 weeks here, probably definitely within May, we're going to be lighting up that area and also the Mill Creek area housing. So they'll have gigabit to the home.
Nice.
So it's really exciting.
It's coming.
And then Hudson, we ended up putting up a lot of new equipment over there. So we can get, if you were in the Hudson area and you couldn't get service from us before from last year, call us again because we can probably get you service now. And we have the newest equipment there, so you can actually do the new plans at the full speeds up to 98 megs per second download.
That's awesome. So what phone number should they call if they want to check if they can get service?
857-2004.
857-2004 is the number to call. We'll drop that in the comments. It is already there. So that's all I've got. If I stay on here any longer, I'm going to start telling you about more apps.
I guess we're going to have a new website pretty soon, and it has the ability to check for service. So you'll be able to fill that form out, and we'll get back with you right away, and it'll even kind of give you a good idea whether or not you can get service. So
very cool.
That's going to be very helpful.
You can find that all on the website here coming soon, so that's great. Well, if there are no more questions, you can always drop your questions in the comment thread below. We do check back on these videos most of the time and answer questions even after it's done with being live. So drop your question, and if there's nothing else, I think we'll see you next month.